Hey friends, here we are today with another drink from Upstream. I know that it's been a little while since I've posted one of these, but with vacations and all that sort of thing happens. So today I want to encourage you, I want to challenge you to practice the spiritual disciplines. Now when I say that, those of you who've heard that phrase before probably instantly began to think of some of the spiritual disciplines like praying, reading your Bible, giving, fasting, etc. But those are not the spiritual disciplines that I'm referring to. Of course, you should practice those on a regular basis. But the spiritual disciplines that I'm talking about today are actually harder. They're more challenging than those traditional disciplines. So the ones I'm talking about today would be things like not having the last word in a conversation, particularly in an argument. Try that one. That's a challenge. Or how about letting somebody else have their way? I don't know about you, but I've actually seen families fight, literally get in arguments and then not talk to each other because they couldn't decide where they wanted to go for dinner. Here they were being able to go out for dinner and they start bickering and fighting over such petty things. It's amazing, isn't it? So practice that spiritual discipline. Let somebody else have their way. Or how about this one? Deferring to someone else's opinion or to someone else's preference, or not having the best idea, or maybe just simply not knowing everything. Or try this one, saying you decide. Like, these are challenging things in the midst of regular life. It's hard to practice these sorts of disciplines. Now, when I say that, I want you to understand what I mean in this. I'm not talking about compromising your biblical convictions. And please know the difference between a personal preference and a biblical conviction. We talk about mountains and molehills, and mountains are those things, those major issues in life that you'd be willing to lay your carcass on, right? You're willing to die for those sorts of issues. Molehills are your personal preference. Don't confuse mountains with molehills. So when I'm talking about practicing the spiritual disciplines, I'm not talking about compromising core biblical truths, but rather those things that are just more like the way you'd like things to be. So the scriptures that I'm thinking about, just 2 verses from the 2nd chapter of the book of Philippians. And I typically teach and preach out of the ESV, the English Standard Version. And that one reads like this. It says, do nothing from rivalry or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Notice it doesn't say that they are more significant than you, but you personally in humility are to count them as more significant than you. You put them in front of you. Verse 4 says, let each of you not look only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. Again, it doesn't devalue our interests. It just means we're supposed to think about other people and put them ahead of us. And now in the Message Bible, it says it like this: don't push your way to the front. Don't sweet talk your way to the top. Put yourself aside and help others get ahead. Don't be obsessed with getting your own advantage. Forget yourself long enough to lend a helping hand. I think that's pretty sound counsel. So my encouragement today, as we take a drink from Upstream, is to set ourselves aside, to practice the spiritual disciplines where we don't put ourselves in the front of the line, where we don't think of ourselves as the most important and our preferences as the way things ought to be. So there you go, a drink from Upstream. God bless you.